It's long been established that autism is far more common in males than in females. The ratio is 4-1.
There's always been more males diagnosed than females diagnosed, but we know historically that's because boys were researched more than women were. So we're really just starting to get to know what it is, the representation of women.
So I'd say in the past decade, clinicians and society at large has become more aware that the broad features of autism, social communication difficulties, restricted repetitive behaviours and interests, can present differently between females and males on average.
There are differences between autistic men and women, and we're only just discovering how women have made their adaptations to autism. One of them is the camouflaging. That is being very good at observing, analysing and imitating and faking it to become a chameleon and become the person necessary for the situation. They create a mask. They are socially successful in terms of their personal lives to a certain extent and their professional lives. However, this is at a cost of enormous mental energy being consumed to be able to socialise.
Males, they can tend to be more visual in seeing autism and seeing the traits. They tend to be a little bit more obvious. But again, this can be in either or all genders around how autism is expressed.
I think when you have a late diagnosis, sometimes it's a deep sense of relief. And what I've found is that a lot of times women particularly, or people who may be even non-binary or transgendered, often what they will do is it will give them a sense of self, if that makes, because they've seen themselves as different but haven't really understood why for a long time.
Women just tend to be, I guess, in my experience, our movements don't appear as obvious as men in terms of repetitive movements, in terms of maybe the special interests that we have. So instead of like the stereotypical trains or planes or mechanical stuff, our special interests, in my instance, could be about libraries or journalism, just something that's maybe a little bit more socially acceptable.
There are some men that I'd see that do have a more feminine gender expression, and I find that the female phenotype actually does fit better with understanding their presentation of autism. Similarly, we might see females who have a more sort of masculine gender expression that on average tend to fit that masculine traditional criteria.
We tend to think of autism in information technology and so on, but for the women, there can also be a talent in the area of the arts and the caring professions, whether they are a paediatrician, psychiatrist, psychologist, nurse, etc., but also that they may sing in perfect pitch and be an opera singer, that they can be talented in fine art and composition, etc. So we find that quite a few of the women have a greater diversity in terms of careers.
There's lots of change from an executive functioning point of view in high school, so a lot of girls coming in later, around 12, 13, 14, 15, with anxiety, depression, disordered eating, and then that is the pathway to looking at autism if the right person's assessing that.
I think it's harder to be a female with autism simply because of the stigma and prejudice from society, in the sense of a stereotype around only boys get autism, or based on Rain Man or other sort of typical male stereotypes, especially the new stereotype in the media, I would say, is the IT geek who's got workplace skills. So that doesn't really help the case for being a woman with autism. And yeah, I speak to lots of autistic women who feel very much typecast or disbelieved when they say they're autistic to other people. They go, really? You don't look autistic? And you go, who looks autistic, or what is looking autistic look like?
As a sexologist, I actually don't look at gender because gender is so diverse and people's identification of gender is very diverse. So I actually don't like to see people as male and female. I like to see people as a broader spectrum as the autism spectrum.